It's desperation time in Chicago. The Cubs trail the Indians 3-1 in the World Series after a 7-2 loss last night. Game 5 about 2 hours away, and Wrigley Field is where we find KWQC Sports Director Joey Gagna. Joey, what's the mood like down there?
Good evening, Andrew. The mood is obviously a very nervous feeling, as you would expect. What a difference 48 hours can do. Just Friday, Cub fans were thinking there was a real possibility they'd be watching the Cubs win the World Series here tonight at Wrigley Field. Instead, it's the Indians with a chance to clinch the series in front of the Cub faithful. You could feel the nervousness and angst all around Wrigleyville this afternoon. Cub fans, they're worried. Many of the Cub fans we saw out around Wrigleyville yesterday, they were nowhere to be found this afternoon. As you can see from this video, the streets not very packed. It was hard to walk around yesterday, but not the case this afternoon. The fans who are here today, they're not giving up yet. They still believe this could finally be the year.
I'm happy to be here, first of all, so if we do happen to lose, I'm at peace with that. We're going to win it next year then. But you know what? I think we got 3 more wins in us.
They can do it. They've just come back from adversity so many times throughout the season. I don't think they're going to let us down this time.
You know, you don't want to count yourselves out ever. These kids are young. You know, hopefully the scope and sequence of history doesn't, get them too bogged down. They play relaxed, have fun, and just string 2 or 3 hits together and have themselves a great ball game.
Well, the Cubs, they have been waiting a lifetime to see a World Series, and I've been waiting a lifetime to do this interview. I'm here with ESPN Baseball Tonight producer Justin Havens. Justin eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball. Justin, in the 44 times that a team has trailed in the World Series 3-1, only on 5 occasions has that team come back to win the series. Could the Cubs be the 6th team to do that?
I think they absolutely could be the team to do that. There's nothing that the 1985 Royals possessed that the Cubs do not. The fact that they've lost 3 or 4 to the Indians doesn't change the fact that they were the best team over the course of 162 games and 2 rounds of the postseason. This team is as good a baseball team, I think, as we have seen in the last 10 years, 15 years in baseball, and I think they are absolutely capable of winning 3 straight. We've seen them do that any number of times. I know the focus becomes very tight in the playoffs, but we've seen them win 3 straight, and we've seen the Indians lose 3 straight. I think it's absolutely a possibility.
The pitching we've seen from Cleveland, you really can't say enough about how remarkable it's been and what they've been able to do. Joe Maddon has talked a lot about how they've got to start getting some early runs on the board. What can Chicago's offense do to start getting a little more production out of that lineup, especially early on?
I think it's very simple. Simple to note, perhaps not simple to execute. The Indians' plan here has been to get the Cubs to chase pitches out of the zone. They are doing that at a much higher rate than they did in the first 2 rounds of the postseason and a much higher rate than they did throughout the course of the regular season. Their chase rate swinging at pitches out of the zone way up. And I think that's been most notable with 2 guys in particular, Chris Bryant, who is obviously the driving force behind their regular season, and Javier Baez, who was perhaps the most important offensive player for the Cubs during the first 2 rounds of the postseason. Those guys have been completely undisciplined. Cleveland's approach, get strike 1 and then don't throw any more strikes, has worked, but that's something that you can correct.